Students, I'm here with the remaining part of plot construction of Hard Times by Charles Dickens. So the third point is structural irony. So far as irony is concerned, you people are already aware that it is a literary device which conveys the idea which is totally opposite to the reality about anything. And I'll say for the first point that structural irony is frequently presented by Charles Dickens in his novel or in current novel, and the pattern of structural irony occurs at most of the times in different novels written by Charles Dickens, but we are very much concerned with our novel Hard Times. A critic, Harvey Sucksmith, has noted that the ground for the little catastrophe is carefully prepared by Gradgrind's arrogant dismissal of the circus in the first paragraph. The first paragraph of the novel is basically the idea which gives us the concept about the catastrophe, little catastrophe. Gradgrind's rejection of the imaginative and effective side of human nature sets in motion against him the machinery of the natural law. Number two is the ensuing catastrophe is the kind that Aristotle recommends. You can say that it contains both a discovery and the peripety and possesses the proper qualities of surprise and probability. Surprise is not registered through phenomenon, almost incredible, but the specific reference to his own metallurgical Louisa and his own mathematical Thomas brings out all the irony in the neat reversal of Gradgrind's expectations as father and educationist. So you can see the irony in both the ways that Gradgrind's expectations were going to fall flat in the case of his son and daughter. And being an educationist, he was unable to inculcate all the things which he wanted to inculcate in the minds of the coming generation and especially his own children. Earlier in the chapter, you have noted that the education of the Gradgrind children had been described in an ironic tone, which culminates in the slight but pregnant hint. For example, I can quote here everything that heart could desire. Everything, there is a question mark. Well, I suppose so. This passage, however, is more subtle than the earlier one. The basic movement of the novel originates in the spiritual blindness of Gradgrind, which is the blindness of a whole philosophy, of a society, of an age. So I'm repeating that the spiritual blindness of Gradgrind is basic idea, which is the blindness of whole philosophy, which is the blindness of whole society, and the blindness of the whole age. Again, the spiritual myopia of Gradgrind is suggested by the business of the eyeglass, which he needs to make out what his children are up to under his very nose. Thus, the physical action of the passage expresses and underlines the wider spiritual message. In addition, we can say that the incident is related organically to the rest of the novel, both in form and in content. It foreshadows the major uh, double catastrophe in which daughter and son show so alarmingly the unexpected yet quite inevitable effects of the Gradgrind system of education on their adult lives. When they were children, they were there to obey their father, and when they became adults, they were free in their own choice. The passage is, in fact, the major catastrophe of the novel in miniature, and you can say that it is more than the miniature. It can be more than the miniature. Since the incident provides an ominous warning which Gradgrind is to ignore at this peril, and it is the act of willful defiance which will trigger off that major catastrophe. So we can conclude that the passage is a tiny model of the whole ironic structure of the novel. As such, it is a vision as well as structure. a prophetic picture that is of the way that an outraged natural law brings about a nemesis in the fullness of time. So from the beginning till the end of the novel, you can see that there are different aspects which can foreshadow the major double catastrophe. Although I have quoted this one passage over here, which you would be able to understand, and the major catastrophe of the novel is in miniature, and we can also say that that was more than the miniature. And fourth point is the idea of time. How can the idea of time is able to concoct a good plot, to fabricate a good plot? Dickens says in his notes that he consciously elaborates the idea of time as the machine of an ironic fate. Time has been taken by Dickens as the machine of an ironic fate. Time will really decide the development of character and the final destiny of the great grind's punny sense of time. And we can say when he deceives himself into thinking that he is settling his daughter's future on the opportune occasion of Bounderby's proposal. Here the lines are very interesting. I'm quoting here for you. Children grow up. Time, a manufacturer, passes them through his mill. Time for Mr. Gradgrind to talk to Louisa. This is chapter 15th of the novel, and you can see yourselves from this chapter. These lines show that Dickens saw time as the agency of an ironic and punitive fate in hard times, and it is confirmed in the concluding paragraph of chapter 15. Here we can also quote the example of Croesus. In Urdu, you can call this king as a Karun. Um, Karun, the person who was very rich or the richest man in the world in history, and we can get the example of this classical figure who was the richest one, and he was overconfident on his prosperity, and he was warned by ironically ambiguous oracle, and when he didn't care to that oracle, he was punished by nemesis in the fullness of time. So the idea of time is all the time presented by the classical writers as well as then the modern writers, just to show the irony of fate, to show the time in the form of irony of fate.